Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with another Burnley here. This one we're going a little bit off the rails. This is it Burn? I believe the origination of this list is from can't remember the gentleman's name, but I know in the Burn Discord it was Berkberk. He tends to play Burn, or lately when he's been streaming on Twitch, it's been like slivers and slivers and more slivers. So if you're familiar with the Burn Discord, it was originally his creation. The first time out during Oko heyday, this deck went 5-0, and then we played it shortly after Oko's burning, or banning, burning, whatever. Guess it's kind of the same thing. And deck didn't perform particularly well. The meta felt like it was in a bad place for this particular build. And I'm still not certain that this deck is in a good place. This deck's a little off the wall. You're basically a mono red deck splashing some counter spells out of the sideboard, for lack of a better thing. But I think the meta might have finally gotten mid-range enough that tempoing your opponent for a turn with something like a Mystical Dispute or a Ether Gust might be enough to kind of get you there. One thing I noted in the previous version was the lack of ability to kill big creatures, hence why there are a couple copies of Dismember in this list. Not the best card in the world to have access to, but at least it's something to kill a medium-sized Goyf or Death Shadow or a Gurmag Angler and the like. 3 copies of Tormod's Crypt. You really want some type of graveyard interaction. Run into Dredge a couple of times recently. I've run into Storm, etc. And Tormod's Crypt is pretty good in those matchups. As far as the extra interaction, 4 copies of Ether Gust. I think I'm going overboard on this card, but it's pretty good against Mono Red Prowess, pretty good against Burn, which was one thing I think that came up last time we played the deck, was we didn't really have any anti-red cards to bring in. And sometimes I like to board out Eidolon, so I felt it was nice to have a card that's actually kind of... And the one color in Modern that never really sees play is white. We don't have any actual white hate cards in here. And black is usually a supplemental color too. So usually the primary colors you're going to see are green, blue, and red, which are the 3 primary colors you're going to see based in most things. Well, so we have Ether Gust to cover the green and red spells, and Mystical Dispute to cover against the Bant Control decks, the Bant Stoneblade decks, the Uro decks, the Uro-Urza decks. So we have some utility here, and then a couple copies of Smash, just because I want to have 4 cards to bring in against Eldrazi Tron, 2 Smash for Chalice, and 2 copies of Dismember for their big idiots to board out our Searing Blazes. Could potentially board in Mystical Dispute, especially on the play. But I think that's a card that you really want to bring in as a supplemental in the blue matchups, not necessarily as a hedge in certain other situations. So, main deck is a mono red burn deck with 4 copies of Opt, pretty much. One thing with mono red burn is it frequently doesn't have enough good burn spells to leverage, hence why Prowess goes into things like Lava Spite or Lava Dart, Burst Lightning, etc. This version is just opting for the typical burn package. Skullcracks are in the main. You have the 4 copies of Searing Blaze. We have 1 more land in this build that's a fetch land, so that'll help trigger Searing Blaze a little more reliably. So, here we go. Let's embrace the craziness and see how this train wreck does. We are back for match number 1 with a crazy Is It Burn. Seems fun. Typical burn hand. Goblin Guide and Eidolon on the play, usually pretty good. We have a Searing Blaze potentially. A couple of burn spells. Our opponent go look. Yeah, we're up against Game Night. Cool. Let the crazy begin. Alright, so Tron. Don't really have a whole lot going on against Tron per se, so Do I even want to show them the blue here? I think I just embrace the mono red burn package here. Okay. Turn 3 Tron incoming. Big shocker there, right? So they're going to 10. Taking 6. Outside of a worm coil engine, I think this game's over. Okay, Thragtusk could change the equation if they have a star to play. Oh, looks like they're just going for Karn. Sure, still think we have the game here. Gosh, open the blue. Alright, and the opponent was conceded. So Thragtusk Tron. Definitely Dismember isn't particularly good here. Smash to Smithereens has some applications against Worm Coil Engine, and then some number of Ether Gusts could be reasonable. Cards that we don't want, Searing Blaze. Yeah, the good draws. Both our decks do that. So I want to bring in 2 Smashes and 2 Ether Gusts. Once again, Ether Gust is limited in what it can do. It cannot target their Worm Coil Engine, colorless payoffs, etc. But there are certain draws where it is reasonable against what they're doing. It can tag a Thragtusk, which can set them back a turn. I would be tempted to bring in Mystical Dispute, but I think on the draw it's too slow and too clunky. So I think I'm going to bring in the 2 Gusts and the 2 Smashes. And maybe I'm supposed to, with the Eidolons here, do this. Bring in the full 4 Gusts? That feels like too much, right? Just go Eidolons and go this for now. This hand just doesn't do anything. Sure, we have a couple skull cracks, but we don't really have a ton of pressure. I can't risk this hand, can I? No lander. Okay. Okay, this hand's fine. Back a land. And is it the opt? Okay, opponent's probably going to Tron on 3. We clearly have a good start here. See if our opponent uses a removal spell. Doesn't look like it, so suspend that Rift Bolt. Yep. guess they draw a mine, not like a forest, so we know they didn't have natty Tron. See what their play is here. Worm Coil or Walking Ballista? Feels like Worm Coil, yep. Alright. I needed to... Fog them for a turn, but... See if they have a Worm Coil on, or a, whatchamacallit here. Nature's claim to blow us out. Indeed. Yep, should have smashed them, like maybe during the upkeep or something. Alright, on to the next game. So... Gust is still okay. I think I'm tempted to bring in a couple Mystical Disputes on the draw here. Guess I'd like to play first. Yes, I'd like to keep this hand. Land of Sanctity. Alright. Don't know the answers to that, but... Alright. Feels like we're going to have a hard time closing out this game before they hit their payoffs, but, you know. Ha! Sure. Pretty sure we're dead here, but, you know. Sure. Yeah, I don't think we're beating someone that wanted to beat burn this badly. Sure. To be fair, I think this would have beaten us even on red-white burn or Boros burn, because I haven't been packing wear tears or anything in our sideboards. So yeah, win some, you lose some, and when people really want to beat burn, they can beat burn. Okay, we're back for match number 2 with Is It Burn? Definitely a keep. Oh boy. So Prowess or Burn? I'm not really sure which. Healed through the turn. No reason to play our guy out, only to have it. This looks like Prowess. This is Morphos. We have to respond by killing. So Spear here. We're doing some of their work for them here, but really? Okay, that was my mistake here. Metamorphose, sure. Sure. Wow, okay. Talk about unloading your hand. Alright, so... see what our opponent's got here. Sure. Prowess deck confirmed. on Bedlam Reveler as one of their last few cards. Yep, Bold Arrow Swift Spear. Burst Lightning it, sure. So the last question becomes, is like their last card Bedlam Reveler? If it is, we're in a world of trouble. If it's not, we might have stabilized-ish. Three, 4, 5. Okay. Guide. Guide. Triggers. And play at the stage. Sure. Holding off on casting Rift Bolt, because that way we can cast it on one of their creatures. Okay.
Hey Chip, the white light means it's charged, right?
Yes. Swizzle Spear. And one lava dark. Nope. Okay, they just had the perfects. Cool. Alright, so mono Red Prowess. Against Prowess, we want the smashes, we want the Ether Gusts. Smashes answer the Dragon's Claws, Ether Gust, because it's a red mirror. Probably not interested in these 4 ops here. And then what is the next worst card? Eidolon's pretty decent against them. Skullcrack's only kind of middling. Like, it's not particularly great in the scheme of dealing with some of their stuff. So, sure. On this, deals us no damage. Opponent's like, wait, what? Goblin Gun, hold up Lightning Bolt here. Obviously they could have Bolt, so I'm not particularly enamored with Trigger. So, Lightning Bolt at Swizzle Spear. Sure. So you can kill Fiend. I'm going to pass without casting anything here. Can I hold up Bolt? Ooh. Okay, so Dragon's Claw Kill Fiend. Runaway Steamkin. Alright. Curious why they didn't play out. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we is gonna hold our land. We're going to cast Lava Spike because they clearly don't have a Dragon's Claw in their hand. Otherwise, I think they would have cast it already. Sure. Don't think you have enough spells to protect this. Trigger me this, Batman. You have a bolt or a burst lightning, sure. Definitely have no reason to play Skewer the Critics right now. Yep. Which one of these is better? I think they both basically do the same thing here, so kill your dude. Can't let them on top of that, because that thing can kill us even from 18, so. Alright. Do you 4, do you 3. Shields are down. Okay. Can you dome us out of nowhere? Probably not. Crackadeland. Sure. Okay, we're sitting over a Bedlam Reveler. Gotcha. Bedlam Reveler incoming. Definitely Bedlam Reveler. You don't empty your hand like that for no good reason. Sure. Looking for Dragon's Claws. Looking for Bedlam Revelers. Okay. Yep. Where are you pitching? Probably. Okay. Runaway Steamkin. Yep. So we need to rip this turn, or we're probably dead. Swizzle Spear. See if they just let this die, or do they flash back a couple copies of Lava Dart? Interesting. There's a good chance we're dead next turn, but this at least takes some of the sting out of some of what they're trying to set up. Am I dead? Okay. So, do you have another spell? Looks like the answer is no, unfortunately. So I can put them to 1, but our Smash to Smithereens being a dead card just kind of kills us. Okay. Alright, on the next. Hey, we're back for the third match with Is It Burn? So, reflecting so far on the matches we played, I don't think stands a keep because we have one drop into other spells. Reflecting on the matches we've played so far, I don't think the Boros or the Is It Splash really mattered in terms of what was going on. I honestly have had pretty terrible luck overall against Prowess, which is kind of insane, obviously. Like, with Burn, like many people actually think it's a favored matchup for Burn. I personally haven't had particularly good luck with it, so we shall see. Alright. Fetch a basic. Blow up your elf. Okay, so our little goblin guide's gonna die for his sins. Going to 12. Oh, they're actually casting something main phase. Alright, sure. I think we'll lead on opt. Sure. Then the opponent has a stomping ground. To shock or not to shock? That is the question. Seasoned Pewtermancer. Okay. So they pitch a Glory Banger. Pop you. Could have been a better draw. turn. Obviously using that as a blocker to buy a turn or two. Fortunately, there's no like KO card right now, like Boros Charm in our deck, but I don't think we're in danger of dying in the next turn or so. So we should have 2 draw steps, I think. Barring a Clothis. Feels like chicken tonight. Scavenging Ooze is definitely a problem. Guess our best answer at the moment would be Searing Blaze. Lava Spike. There's currently a bunch of cards in the graveyard, so they can gain 3 here over the next turn or 2, which is unfortunate. It does tie up their mana from doing anything else. One, 2, 3. Yep. Scavenger is the one card that could get us. No blocks. They're really going to risk casting another spell here. Feels like you're just supposed to eat. Sure. I think they should have just done that main phase. Would have saved them a lot of problems. Okay, you're still dead. Alright, so Gruul and friends. So MTG. See. Seasoned Pyromancer. Pretty sure these decks are kind of just standard fare at this point, but you know. Got some Balos. Got some other big dumb idiots. Got some bolts. Guess we bring in our Ether Gusts. Card are we not particularly interested in this matchup? Guess we just trim ops, right? Kind of the easy in, easy out here. I think on the play, I'm much more interested in Mystical Dispute, but once again, we are on the draw, so one land, a bunch of burn spells. Don't think this hand's good enough. It's kind of already a mulligan with the Ether Gust. It's really kind of hard to burn out a creature deck, even with 15 points of burn. Yep, we're going to that number as well. This hand's actively pretty bad, but I think we keep this one. Back a Steam Vents, I suppose. It's a pretty good one. Means I get to fetch without taking much damage here, which kind of sucks, but, you know, c'est la vie. Doesn't look like they have the Maguses in. So I could do a lot of things here. I could cast an Eidolon that's pretty clearly going to get stomped or bolted or something. I could do nothing and not put any pressure on the board, so I think I'm just supposed to play this, let them kill it, and move on our merry way here. Yes, you have an answer? You already showed us Bone Crusher Giant, so, like, if we untap with it, I like the position we're in. If we don't, then, yeah. You know. They didn't kill it. Wow. Okay. You really don't want me to untap with this. Alright, so maybe they have like Anger of the Gods or something? Seems like really dangerous to let me untap with this. What kind of hand did they keep? That was an Arbor Elf. Okay. Alright, nice. Nice to get a great win over Red-Green Moan Stars. We're back for match number 4. Unfortunately, we're on the draw. But, you know, pretty solid hand. One drop into a bunch of other castable spells. Don't think preserving knowledge is worth. Apologize, I swallowed a piece of country fried steak wrong on the break and kind of a smell snare, huh? Ah, you have bolts. Gotcha. Oh, I apologize for the eardrums I just blew out. Alright. Pass turn. You do not get to use your mana this turn, friend. Excuse me. This turn, however, unfortunately, you get to use your mana in some capacity. To counter this one. Alright, so one more burn spell. And we pass the turn. So once again, you get to do nothing with your mana. What you got, friend? Okay. I now have no reason to act whatsoever. Sure. So we are up against a variant of Jeskai. Interesting. Opponent's like, wait, opt? You're tanking on this of all spells. Interesting. Bolt. Okay. Lava spike you. All right. So we're up against a Jeskai list. No copies of Opt. Board those out. Well, maybe. We shall see, right? Probably want to get these Searing Blazes out of our deck. Definitely want Mystical Disputes in. So they are a red-based deck. Do we really want to get an Ether Gust? Probably not. Probably just leave the Ops in, right? Trying to think, like... Just leave it like this. Hey, great hand. No lands, though. Going to 5. I mean, this hand's keepable. Put back that and an opt, I guess. Okay, not terrible. Presuming this is dying to a bold effect. Okay, I got land. Basic mountain, lightning bolt, shocker, right? Okay. We just have a too rough of a start here to really capitalize on things terribly much. Probably crack the islet here. Depending on what my opponent does. So what is the white splash for? Curious. 2, 3. Wow. I really don't want to draw multiple copies of Mystical Dispute here. Mystic Sanctuary, sure. Okay. You really don't have any things for burn, do you? Sure. Jam your Jace. Jam your Jace. Put back a lightning bolt. Okay. Merry Christmas. Fortunately, they will get to bolt something, quite likely. Hey, shocker, there's a bolt on top of their deck. Okay. I'm curious. Okay. Sure. Alright, so they have that Is It charm. One, two. Sure. They're a Breach Titan deck. Okay. We about to get breached? They're not. Okay. Am I dead? Wow, 2-2. On to the next match. We are back for the 5th and final match in our round here. We are on the play. Yeah, it's fine. It's not like amazing, but it's fine. One drop spell into Eidolon. Probably not going to be able to like completely mask the fact that we have blue mana this game, so you know, things and stuff. Duck, duck, goosen. Alright. So it looks like we are up against Urza Uro. So what we're going to do, we're going to shock this here Gilded Goose. And we're going to play us a Eidolon. It's been a minute since Uroza. Definitely going after Goose. So pass turn. Okay. Duck, duck, goose. Sure. Fortunately, they could have Metallic Rebuke up now. So we're going to have a really hard time beating this goose, but don't think... Am I supposed to kill the Emery or am I supposed to kill the goose? Like, there's nothing particularly in the yard that I care about right now. Attack first, see what they do. I think I'm just supposed to kill the goose, right? Plan on cracking the thing here. It's possible I should have just... Okay. Yeah, that's a card. Do you have a land to put on the battlefield? Okay, Mystic Sanctuary. So they get to bring back Uro next turn, which is fantastic. Skullcrack, please. Another land, just what I wanted. So we're going to go ahead and attack here. It'd surprise me if they blocked. Yep. So in the end, Emery did nothing. Uro's going to do all the work. And we have all lands in hand, so it's going to be hard to win this game. So actually the funny part, them going to 6, if we had a Skullcrack here, they'd be dead, but we don't, so we wish you a next game. We wish you a next game. So Urza Uro. Let's start by what cards we don't want. I guess the 4 copies of Opt can go. Beyond that, like Searing Blaze is perfectly reasonable in this matchup. Definitely want the Mystical Disputes here. Like, is there any actual artifacts that we care about out of their deck? I don't think so. I guess theoretically, like Urza's artifact dude could be somebody we want to kill, but beyond that, bring these in for the ops. And then, like, we could bring in a couple Tormod's crypts. We could bring in, like, a large number of things. We can bring in, like, I think on the play we just want to minimize our getting cute. Definitely want to leave the Blazes in because they have Goose and Emery. This gives us effectively like 8 counters for Uro on turn 2 or turn 3. Or turn 3 really. Play first, yes. One lander. Hand doesn't really do a whole lot. Can we risk keeping this hand? This deck has like all the tools we want to see in this matchup. Yeah, I guess I talked myself into keeping it, but without a creature, this hand could certainly be a trap. Between that and the 1 land. So do we rip another land? Obviously things get a lot better, but alright. Gilded Goose. Shocker. So, with the advantage of the bolts in hand, I think I'm going to dome them with the Rift Bolts and in the hopes that we can rip a land in. Okay. Risky here to let them untap with Goose. But maybe they'll go for Uro here. There's no... Really, deck? Alright, I kept the 1 lander and we're getting punished. Happens, unfortunately. Yep. pass turn. Sure. Yep. It's just... This deck's just got too much life gain at this point to really effectively fight it with kind of a paralyzed burn hand here. A lot of lands. Sure. Yep. We gotta try to skull crack them here. Probably have Metallic Rebuke or something similar. Cool. Alright, kind of disappointing in there. This is kind of a matchup I wanted to test against, and unfortunately, with the mana being awkward, be back in a second with the wrap-up. So, wrap-up for this league with Izzet burn, or mono red burn, splashing some counter spells, pretty much. What did we learn? Match number 1 against Tron. Leyline Sanctity is still a problem. If they decide to want to be burned, they can. Match number 2 was against... what was match number 2 against? 2 against Prowess, which, once again, kind of a similar problem. We got stuck holding a Smash to Smithereens in our hand. If they ever would have drawn Dragon's Claw, we probably win the game. They didn't, so we lost. Game number 2, that was. Didn't really get to see the Ether Gusts, their effect in that particular matchup. Matchup number 3 against the Gruul Monsters. We really didn't get to see the Ether Gusts or any of the sideboard cards come into effect, which kind of beat them at the game. With a well-timed Skull Crack against their Weather the Storm and beat them in game 2. We played against some type of blue-red Through the Breach. Mystical Disputes popped up in some spots. We got to pop off a Jace that led to them basically time-walking themselves because they had Mystic Sanctuary back a Bolt and we're going to brainstorm it and yada yada yada. Mystical Dispute was pretty reasonable there. Finally against Uroza, which was... Uroza, whatever the heck they call that deck. That is a deck that I feel is a bad matchup for Burn. Gilded Goose, Urzo, etc. I kept an awkward hand game too that punished us. I knew I should have mulliganed the hand. I talked myself into keeping it. We might have stolen that game with a little bit of a better start. Like one drop and like a blaze into, one of our good starts maybe would have gotten there against that particular hand that they played. But that deck, I don't know. Skull Cracks in the main for that felt fine. I don't think this version is better than Boros by any particular means. And I think the presence of Mystical Dispute and Ether Gust, specifically Dispute, skews our deck in a way that we want to get on the board and get ahead and use the counter spells to kind of protect those threats or disrupt our opponent just enough to cross the finish line. And I don't think we successfully executed that particular style of game plan. Maybe it's just too cheeky for Burn, as I think I said that similarly in our last video. I felt we had the tools. Like, I don't think there was, like, unlike last time when I haven't gone through those matchups in a bit, but last time I didn't feel like I had cards to bring in and bring out, whereas I couldn't, like, if I didn't want to leave my Searing Blazes in, I couldn't board out everything. Or if I didn't want to leave my board out, say, my Eidolons, I didn't have something I could bring in. I felt like in every matchup we had something reasonable to bring in. Tron is a little bit sketch. We had the 2 smashes and the 2 gusts for the 4 copies of Blaze. Not great, but reasonable. Gust can tag a Thragtusk for a turn, potentially because the way Mono Green Tron doesn't always have a permanent green source. Could have bit them for a turn, could have been enough to win the game. I really think the Leyline cost us basically going 3-2 in this league quite easily. So, if people want to beat Burn, they can beat Burn. And obviously, packing Leylines, that Tron player wanted to beat Burn. So, solid league. Not spectacular result, 2-3. Could easily have been 3-2 without a Leyline in that one random game against Tron. And then, I got a little bit cheeky with one of my keeps there against Uroza, but I don't think we were probably winning Game 3 anyway. But I do think this is something that is worth exploring on occasion. As I mentioned before, I shelved it before because it didn't actually feel good at all. This time, especially with the presence of Ether Gust, it actually feels reasonable. Like, I actually have sideboard cards for almost every situation. So, definitely something I'll explore on occasion. Just to kind of toy with something a little bit different. But solid league, hard to draw too many conclusions from the results. Is it still worth exploring? I feel like yes, but we're not going to do it on a regular basis. Anyways, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, please consider subscribing. This has been John for MTG Nexus with a YouTube-only exclusive red splashing blue Burn in Modern.